Hey guys, this is just one guy and I'm back here with another Unity tutorial, and in today's tutorial we're going to learn about card rarity and card chance. Now I made this tutorial because I was working on a game where you had to have certain cards and you can pick cards based on rarity, and based on the rarity is the chance that the card would come up. Now I'm just going to go in game and give an example of this just in case it's not clear. So when I hit R, you can see different cards come up based on rarity. You can see the rarity chance right here that the card will come up. This is a common card. It has a 100% chance. After that, you have an uncommon, which is 70% chance. You got a 50% chance of getting a rare, and you have a 20% chance of getting, what is that, mythical. And if I hit the button again, let's see if I could get the last one. The last rarity is godly, and you only have a 10% chance of getting that. Now it's important to note that each one of these cards rolls by itself. It doesn't roll a whole hand. So each one of these cards rolls to see which card you'll get. And the color of the card is based on the rarity of the card. Godly is white. What's this? Rare is green. Mythical is yellow. And uncommon is blue. And common is gray. So you can see each time I roll, it gives me the card based on the chance that I'll get it. Common is very common, uncommon is common, and so forth. Now I'm just going to go and show you how the system works. Right here we have, it only uses two scripts, the card class and the card manager, and I'm going to show you how to write both of those today. It's pretty simple how it works, but I just wanted to go over it and explain it. First, we have all the cards right here, and these are just a bunch of test cards I gave. And right here is the card class. It just holds all the data for the card. First, the name of the card, picture of the card, which is just a sprite. I just used these sprites right here. Then we have a description of the card. In case you want to write an effect on a card, it'll print right here. I left that blank just because I didn't have time. Now we have the rarity of the card, what level of rarity it is. In my game, it goes from 1 to 5 in this system. Then you have the rarity title. This lets you know whether it's uncommon, rare. It's just a string. This is all set by the code, so you won't have to set anything except the rarity, the card pick, and the card name. The rarity color is also set by the code. The chance that you'll pick up this card is set by the code. And this is just for display purposes. You don't actually need this here. And the ID of the card, which is also set by the code. Each one of these has the same thing, so there's no point going through each and every one of them. I just made a bunch of test cards at a bunch of different levels. So this is rarity 3, and you can see this is rarity 1. The only thing you have to do in here is set the rarity, the card pick, and the name. And the script will do the rest. Now we have our level 1 cards. You don't have to put anything right here. The script sets all of this. It's just a list of the level 1 cards, level 2 cards, level 3, and so forth. And we have the player hand. This is the cards we're holding. How many, the limit of our hand. I wanted the limit to be 5, but you can put as many cards as you want. And this is just the UI data. All the titles for the cards. The card background, so we can change the color. And you can see a card is just an object like this. It's just a simple panel with text for the name, image for the picture, and a text for the description. And if we go into our game manager where the card manager script is at, you can see it just holds all the titles, the names. This holds the card backgrounds, which is just the panels of the cards, just so I can change the color. And this holds all the effects, which is the text down here in case you want to write the effect of the card on there. I just use it to display basic information of the card, since the card doesn't actually have the effect. But if the card actually did something, this is the text you would use to display it. Right now it just displays the rarity and other data of the card. This is the card picture, just a sprite we want to appear on a card, and that's about it. Other than that, we just have the card class, which I just went over. Now I'm going to go to Visual Studios, and we're going to show you how the code works. Okay, now we're here in the code. The first thing we have is our card class. Now the card class just has a bunch of data types. Now I will be posting this code on Pastebin, so if you don't feel like going through all this, you can just download these two scripts and then set up the project yourself. But right here we have the name, which is just the name of the card. We have a card picture, which is just a sprite. It's the image that you want to appear on a card. You have the description. This is the string. This is what's going to hold the effect. It's going to tell the player what your card does. So right here, if you have any type of effect that you want to put on the card, you just put it right here. We have the rarity, which is a number. Right now, I just set it up so it goes from rarity 1 through 5. Then we have the rarity title. This just lets us know what each level means. So level 1 would be common, level 2 would be uncommon, level 3 would be rare, level 4 is, I think, mythical, and level 5 is godly. So right here we have the rarity color. You can set this to any color you want in the other script, but I have it set to some basic colors just to make it easier. But that controls the color, what color the card will be. Right here we have the chance. This is just for display purposes. You don't actually need this here. I just like to display the chance that you'll get that card on the card. So this just tells the player the chance they have of getting that card. And we have the card ID. This is important to know which ID, which card it is. And also, if you wanted to save and load, you would use the card ID instead of trying to actually save the card, because most saving and loading systems would only use basic data types, so they wouldn't let you use stuff like colors, and it wouldn't let you save stuff like sprites and colors. So if you wanted a simple saving system, you would save the card ID and then pull up the card based on the ID instead of trying to save this entire class, card class. And that's it for the card class. So now we're going to go into the card manager. Okay, now we're here in the card manager script, and first we're going to go over the variables, and then we're going to go over the functions. Okay, the first variable we have is all cards. This is pretty simple. It's all the cards in the game. Now you'll set up the cards in the editor, so you just need to write this line right here, a list of all your cards in game. Next, we need to separate the cards by level. We're going to separate them from levels 1 through 5. If you wanted to add more levels, you'll have to add more class levels here. So you'll just copy this line right here and then add another one in. If you want it less, you could just take away some of these levels. But I have it set to 5 right now, so I wrote 5 levels. And next thing we have under there is the player's hand. This is representing all the cards that the player is holding. I have it set to 5, so they're holding 5 cards, and this will hold all the cards that the player is holding. Next we have the card limit. This tells us how many cards we're holding, and as you can see I set it to 5, and it's just an int. All these up here is the card class that we just created. Next we have the UI data, and this just holds all the UI data for the cards. The titles are the names of the cards, so this is the actual text displaying the names. So we have 5 cards, and we're going to have 5 texts on this list right here. This is the actual panels for the cards, and this is to change the color of the cards. So we need the image of the cards, which is the panel that the cards are shown on, and this is just used for changing the color of the cards. Next we have the card effects, and this is just going to be a description of the effect of what the card does. Right now I just have it displaying like basic information of the card, because the cards don't do anything. But if you wanted the cards to display information of what they did, like say it adds +5 to your strength, this is where you will put it. This is the actual text that you would make show it. Next we have the card pictures, and it's just simply the picture of the card. That's it for the variables. Now let's go over the functions. Our first function is calculate RNG percentage, and it takes a percent. Now if you've seen my channel before, you've seen this function before because I write it in a lot of my scripts, and all it does is it takes in a percentage and tells you the chance that you'll actually that whatever you want to come true will actually come true. Now see if we fed into this 65%, it would it sets a random range, it picks a random number between 1 and 100, and if that number is less than 65, then it'll be true. If it's over 65, it'll be false. And that's an example of how this function works. We're going to feed it in the rarity chance, and then it's just going to tell us whether we hit that rarity chance or not. And this is basically the brains of the whole script here, the whole system. And just in case it's unclear, I've actually commented it out just so you'll remember how it works and you'll know how everything is. Okay, the next thing we have is assign the rarity. This just gives every card that you put in all cards a rarity. So we just go through each and every card in all cards, and then if the rarity is level 1, we assign it to level 1 data, the rarity title of common, the chance of getting this card is 100%, card rarity equals gray, that's just the color of the card, we want it to be gray, and then we'll add the card to level 1. So this separates the cards into each individual list. So that's level 1. This is level 2, which would be uncommon. The card will be blue. And we've given this a 70% chance of getting this card. Now this is where you actually set the display chance right here. This isn't the actual chance. This is just the chance to display what we're displaying to the player. So it goes on and on with level 3, level 4, and level 5, with the colors being white, yellow, green, and levels being rare, mythical, and godly. You can change all this data if you want. I just have it set to this because it was easiest. And that just assigns the rarities of each and every card that you put in all cards. The next function we have is roll for hand, and this just lets us pick 5 random cards and calculate the chance that we'll get it. This is the actual area where you have to set the actual percentages where they count. As you can see, we have a 70% chance of getting a level 2 card, a 50% chance of getting a level 3, a 20% chance of getting a level 4, and a 10% chance of getting a level 5. So we just set it up to a for loop to go through. Well, first we have to clear the player's hand, and this is just so the player doesn't get extra cards, because that'll cause some errors. And the next thing we do is we set up this temporary function, this temporary list right here, and this is just going to hold the IDs for every card. As I said before, you don't want to hold the actual card in something like this, just for saving and loading purposes. It'll be a lot easier to save and load the data if it's just an int rather than an entire class. And I'm not going to go into the specifics of that in this particular tutorial, but just know that's why I did it this way. So right here we just we just setting it up for our hand to have the IDs of the card, and then we're going through a for loop that just basically counts to 5, because we're basing off the card limit. You can set it to whatever you want, but I have it set to 5. And then we set up the chance that we call our function up here, calculate RNG percent, and we set up the chance that you'll get that card. And down here, if it hits, first thing we want to do is the lowest percentage right here. So it'll be a chance to get the level 5 card. and you have a 10% chance. If that comes true, then it'll give you the it'll set the ID of a level 5 card to your hand. Now it is a random card right here, so you can't get multiples of cards, but this is the function. And right here, this is just to stop errors, because if you only have one level 5 card, this wasn't right here, you'll get an error. So if you have only one level 5 card, it'll just add that one card to your hand. But if you have multiple level 5 cards and all cards, then it'll choose a card at random and then add it to your hand. Right here, just add the ID to your hand. And that goes, the function is repeated. If you don't get it, if level 5 is false, then it'll try for a level 4, which you have a 20% chance of getting. If level 4 is false, then it'll try for a level 3, which is 50%. And then if that fails, it'll try for a level 4, which is 70%. I mean, level 2, which is 70%. And if all that fails, it'll just give you a level 1 card at random. If you have more, one level 1 card, it'll just give you that one level 1 card. But if you have more than one level 1 card set in all cards, it'll choose a level 1 card at random and just give it to you. So you can see it goes from the lowest to the the highest sorry, the lowest percent chance to the highest percent chance. And if none of those come true, then it just defaults to giving you a level 1 card. And right here, we just take all the IDs and we add them up, and we get the actual cards from the IDs, and that's where we add it into the player's hand. And then we call this function right here, display card, and we just display the cards right here. So we display all, we're just using a for loop to go through all 5 cards. Again, you can make more than 5 cards if you want, but we just set the title, the text, the names of every card. Then we set the background color. Then we set the effect text right here. I just have it set to rarity, but I'm just gonna add something right here just to make it a bit more readable. So right here, I just have it set to the rarity of the card, and then it gives you a description of the card, which I don't really have set right now. And then this just right here just sets the picture of the card. Then we have a couple of Unity functions, start and update. And our start update, we're going to set the IDs of every card right here. So we're just going to automatically generate an ID based on the placement of the cards list. And then we're going to call that function up here, and we assign the rarity. Now it's important to note that you do have to assign the actual number rarity in the editor. This just sets up the rarity data. And then right here, we just have input get key code R. So if I press the R key, it'll call that roll for hand function. And that's how I have it set up. Now, if I explain anything in a confusing way, you could just download the script from the pastebin link that I'm going to put in the description down below, and then set up the project on your own. All this stuff is commented out just because I may have explained something wrong. So I made sure to put comments everywhere. Now we're going to go back into Unity, and we're going to set it all up. Okay, now we're back into Unity, and I'm just going to show you how I have everything set up. We have our card right here, and we just have a text for the name. Just zoom in here. We have our picture for that's just the image. It's just a plain UI image. And we have the description, which is just more text. Right here, the card itself is just a panel. You simply create an empty object, put the card manager script that we just created on there, and then drag everything into place. You create all your cards right here. You name the card, you choose the image you want for the card. I just downloaded a bunch of free sprites from the Unity Asset Store. It's the gem pack if you want to do that. And then you set the rarity of the card from 1 to 5. You don't have to set anything else in these cards. If you want to add new cards, just hit plus and then do it again. I'm just going to erase that card. Next, you take your cards, each one of your cards that you created. I created 5 cards, and the system is set up to only work with 5 cards. You can create more if you want to, but you just drag the name into the titles field. You drag the picture into the card picks field, and you drag the description, let me go over here, into the effects field, and you drag the card itself into the card background field, and that will allow you to change the color of the entire card. And that's basically it. So now you have a system that will change the cards and give you the cards based on a rarity. And you can see how little that godly rarity card is coming up. It came up 3 times here, but it's important to note that each one of these cards does its own thing. So each card itself does a role. It doesn't do 5 cards all together. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching.